Greetings to everyone. Thank you for choosing again the Classroom TZ. As we are simplifying learning, we are trying to reach you whenever you are. And here I'm Shadrach Swiller. We are going to proceed in the first topic of the crisis in capitalist system. Previous we discussed the First World War, the meaning of First World War, military camps or the causes, the members of First World War, the causes of First World War, long-term cause and long-term causes. Also, we discussed the effect of First World War on Africa, the Versailles Peace Treaty, the treaty to end the war, and lastly, we discussed the League of Nations, the international organ that established as the international or intergovernmental organization that is responsible to keep the world peace. So that it was the first crisis, that is the First World War. The second crisis that happened in the capitalist system, it was the Great Economic Depression of 1929 to 1933. Also, why are we discussing this? As I said earlier, we are discussing all these events happened in the capitalist system because at that time we are the party of capitalist system by using colonialism. Remember, colonialism, the highest level of capitalism, that is imperialism, and we are the victim of colonialism. So in one way or another, we cannot let it behind the Great Economic Depression because the time it was happening, we were under those colonial masters who were the main victims of the Great Economic Depression. So here in the Great Economic Depression, we are not learning exactly occurred in Africa, but its effect reached even in Africa. So Great Depression was the deepest and longest lasting economic downturn, that is slump, in history of the Western industrialized world. In the United States, the Great Depression began soon after the stock market crash on Tuesday, 19th October. Sometimes this Tuesday is referred as Black Tuesday. The day came to be known as Black Tuesday, which sent Wall Street into panic and wiped out millions of investors. Sometimes this stock market exchange crash is referred as immediate cause of the Great Economic Depression. So the crash of USA stock market exchange was the beginning of Great Economic Depression in the world. Why crash of USA stock exchange as immediate cause? Because at that time USA was a leading superpower and most of the world depended, most of the country in the world depended on USA, especially after WW1. It became the great economic country that it gave loans to other European nations. So crash of United Stock Market Exchange, it was a first sign that the world economy is going to collapse. And as a concept, this was characterized by total breakdown in the production process, unemployment, low income, and the general lack of effective demand, low of price, low of investment, and low of economic activities in general. As it concluded, low of economic activities in general. In short, all economic aspects, all economic issues went down during Great Economic Depression. People became bankrupt. So how this Great Economic Depression happened? Great Economic Depression happened under capitalist system. As I said, this is another crisis. Later on there, we're going to check in the colonization, the factor for the rise of socialism. Socialist scholars, they believe that the world suffered because of capitalism. It is capitalism that caused the WW1. It is capitalism that caused the Great Economic Depression. It is capitalism again caused the Second World War. So we're supposed to blame capitalism with all problems we are facing today. That's why some of people believe the socialism and socialists got members because of that ideas. Why am I saying this? Stage of economic depression. Economic depression occurred under capitalism. And these are the stage of capitalism during production. So the first stage, it is boom stage. Before the Great Economic Depression to happen, we had this boom stage that everyone is passing in capitalism. This is a period when the economy is at highest level. It is featured by high level of investment, lowest level of unemployment, high standard of living, social and political stability, expansion of trade. In short, during this time, everything is going good, smooth. I remember the time I was in university, a college student, where at that time we say it is boom time. We refer the boom that money we given from loan board. Then we say that is boom time. At that time, everyone is happy, everyone is good, we are in hype. That is boom session. That pocket is full. We have everything. You can even use boda in the distance that is less than 1 kilometer. You can apply the boda. That is why, because we have money in the pocket. That is boom time. Everything is going fine. After boom time, the second stage, it is crisis. If you spend more, you don't take measures, you don't take precaution, the crisis might happen. This is a temporary decline in the economic activities, and it has the following features or challenges. After boom, in nature, we go down. So decrease of investment, decrease in employment, decrease in income, decrease in trade, decrease in commodity price. So we can see there is starting of going down of economy. If all those mentioned, employment, investment, income, trade, commodity, go down, there's no economy there. That is stage number 2, crisis. After crisis, we went into depression. That's the third stage, depression. This is the period of total decline of the economy or stagnation of the economy. In this level, aspect mentioned in the previous level, they are going so intensive. They are going in highest level. And that is what you say the Great Economic Depression. It was the time when everything is go down. There we say the decrease in a crisis. In depression we say absent or lack. Not shortage, it is absent. There's no investors, no employment, no income. That is depression. So we are empty. It happened those days before then in Tanzania. They said in 70s up to 80s, they went in the highest level of drought. That was a sign or element of depression. We had nothing in house, there's no food, everything is go down, no anything remain. That is depression. But after depression, people learned the lesson. What are they going to do? They are going to do recovery. Recovery is a period when the economy start to improve and expand. It is shown by income start to increase, prices start to rise, standard of living start to rise, and the opening of banks. So in recovery, that is the measures are taken in order to make sure we are going back to boom, and the cycle go in that way. That is the nature of capitalism system. If you're in a capitalism system, you cannot avoid these cases. So that the stages of economic depression, from the first stage up the recovery, the fourth stage. And after the fourth stage, we are going again to the boom. So the cycle keep going on in that direction. So we have the causes of Great Economic Depression. The cause number 1, it is overproduction. Let's check what led to the occurrence of Great Economic Depression. Number 1, it is overproduction. So here in this, we're going to discuss a little bit economic matters, economic issues. Those who are very good in commerce and bookkeeping somehow in your level, they are familiar about these cases, they are going to understand it very well. But even if you were out of commerce or bookkeeping, I will try to simplify it for everyone to understand. The first point for the causes of economic depression, or for the word economy to go down, it is overproduction. For the one who don't know it, he can say how overproduction can lead to the economic depression. If we produce more, mean that we are getting more money. But in economy is not going like that. We sort of overproduction when other elements also existing. In 1920-1929, USA experienced the growing and the production in industries and the agriculture sector. Due to overproduction, price went down in the market, hence failure to make a profit, which resulted in the economic depression. So, overproduction should happen when demand is high. When demand is low and you done overproduction, the price of product is go down. When the price of product is going down, then you are not going to get back the production cost you invested in the production, and at the end the project is going to go down. That is going to be the beginning of the collapse of the economy. So they said in USA in 1920, remember that 1920s after First World War, up to 1929, the world or country of the world, they were coming from WW1. And among the effect of WW1 is the destruction of properties, a lot of problem in economy. So USA was targeting like this. We say the mission fairly successful. USA was targeting that because the world is coming from the war, then there might be had more demands of some of resources or some of materials. So let me produce more, and those who come from the war, they can buy from me. I don't know how USA think about that, but unfortunately, people that came from war, they have nothing in the pocket, so no one bought the product. In that way, the demand go down and the production is so high, so price should go down at least to get something. Better to have certain amount of money rather than getting nothing. So the price went down and USA sold those commodities in low price. Because USA sold those commodities in low price, the economy is so difficult to go high. We got unexpected results. Reason number 2, why Great Economic Depression? The consequence of the First World War. We cannot avoid this. World War is the engineer of Great Economic Depression. This includes the destruction of industries, communication lines, airports, and cities, and loss of lives, which had negative effect on the production and the ability to purchase goods, hence led the economic depression. If we don't have all those, we don't have population, we don't have communication line, we don't have airport, we don't have industries, how can we prosper in the economy? It is so difficult. So WW1 also architectured the occurrence of the Great Economic Depression because of the massive destruction happening in the war that was sometimes referred as a Great War. High protective tariff by United States. High protective tariff by United States. Here we have the word called the tariff. We should understand what is tariff. Tariff is that the duties, the money one country is paid to another country as a permission for the goods that are produced outside to get inside. Example, we have commodity come from Kenya. This commodity that are coming from Kenya and they are sold in Tanzania, it means that Kenyan government or Kenyan people, those business people from Kenya, they paid a certain amount of money to the government of Kenya, something like taxi, but it's going to different name, tariff, as a permission for their goods to get market in Tanzania market. That is tariff. And that amount of money is estimated by government or is set by government to protect the internal industries or the internal producers. It might happen we have the same goods. We example, we are producing peanut butter. In Tanzania, we are producing peanut butter, and in Kenya, they are producing peanut butter. But Kenya want to secure a market of Tanzania of peanut butter. Then the government of Tanzania will set at least maybe high tariff. That high tariff will affect the price of Kenya peanut butter, comparing the price of peanut butter produced in Tanzania. So when you go to the market and you find the same product, peanut butter, by different producers, one produced in Tanzania, internal or local, and the one produced outside. The outside product, it had more price because of the tariff inserted in that product, and that tariff raised the price of the commodity in order to compensate the tariff. So, how happened in USA in relation to Great Economic Depression? United States rose tariff on imported goods from Europe. This appealed European country to put tariff on USA goods As a result, the market was narrowed to both continents, hence overproduction and the Great Economic Depression. It's going like this. United States stated like all commodities that are produced from Europe and they are getting in USA, they should be taxed high, or they should be imposed with high tariff. In that way, producers from Europe, when they want to sell their commodity in America, they're supposed to pay higher amount of money to the government of USA in order to get the permission for their goods to be sold in USA. In that way, you may find some of traders are not able to pay the tariff and they can go back with their goods. After that, European nation and them, they revenged. They said all the goods that are coming from America to Europe, they're supposed to have a high tariff. And remember, they said the protective tariff to protect the internal production. So what happened? If both sides they're increasing tariff, then we are going to lack the market between these two sides. In that way, USA closed the gate of the goods from Europe, and Europeans closed the gates for the goods from America. So everyone maintained his market. In that way, everyone maintained her market. In that way, we cannot expand the market, and the production is going to be high and the market is small. So if the production is high and the market is too small, how can we get the profit? Because of that, we got economic depression because of high tariff. This thing is just like the same like what is going on now. We check the coming of Trump in 2025. USA president, he started again to set something like this happening, economic depression to some countries. I heard like he put tariff to Canada, the goods from China, and China acted the same. So if China acting the same and the America that way, so there's a possibility goods from China can be sold only in China. The goods from America can be sold only in America. In that way, the one who had the big market inside, the one is going to win. China had a big market compared the population of China to the population of USA. So that is how protective tariff can cause great economic depression. Unequal distribution of income. Unequal distribution of income is economic wise. Listen carefully. The difference in incomes between capitalists and workers in which workers were paid inverse proportional to what they produced created a gap between the production and the consumptions, hence depression. It is going like this again. In capitalism, there are two classes. Capitalists, those are owner of the system, and the workers. Again, those capitalists actually are smaller in numbers comparing workers, common people. Common people are many in numbers, and these common people are those who are working to the capitalist. So the source of the economic system here are those capitalists who are paying those workers. Then what happened? There were unequal distribution of the income, meaning that workers were paid low amount comparing what they are supposed to go and consume or the consumption. So at the end, the same producers, they produce the high, and those producers or workers at the market. So when you are paid them low, how do you expect for them to go buy what they are producing? Example. Here in Tanzania, we have different big industries. Example, I can say we have A to Z in Arusha. A to Z in Arusha. Currently, I'm in Arusha. So A to Z in Arusha. A to Z in Arusha is a very big industry. So let's assume all of population in Arusha are working in A to Z. And A to Z produce all those domestic products. Example, produce maybe cups, plates, clothes, and other products. So all of people in Arusha are depending their income from A to Z. For the A to Z to go up, he's about to make profit. So those people are working in A to Z. If we are paid low, when they go back to the market, the purchasing power is going to be low. Also, they cannot buy it. If they're going to buy it in small quantity, the rest of production go back to A to Z. That is loss. So by that way, we can say there's unequal distribution. They are producing more, but they are paid less. When they go to the market, they cannot consume, or they cannot earn, they cannot use, they cannot purchase. In that way, there is low down of economy. Crash of the world stock exchange in USA. This referred at the immediate cause, as I said before. This led to the close of 4,200 banks, and the people who had kept their money in these banks suffered great loss. The industry could no longer secure loan, yet their products could not sell, and eventually they also closed down. This led to huge unemployment, surplus product, low agricultural purchasing power, and consequently to the world economic depression. We should understand the role of banks in the distribution of or circulation of money in the street or in the country. We have central bank. Actually, in the country, normally it is one central bank. Example, in Tanzania, we have BOT, and we have commercial bank. Central bank referred at the bank of bankers, and these commercial banks, they open the account there in central bank, and the main role of these commercial banks is to ensure circulation or flow of money in the street. How these commercial banks get money? It is when people invest and they put money in the banks. When the bank is empty, mean that even in street there's no money. How? If you given a tender to build maybe something almost like 1 billion shilling, do you expect that 1 billion shilling can be paid in cash? It is impossible. That amount of money should be in the bank, then you'll be paid in that way. So if bank is empty, how can we run those projects? Someone will say, hey, BOT will print the money and give us. In economy, it's not going like that. We cannot print the money and give to everyone. In economy, is not working. So the crash of stock market exchange. Stock market exchange was the exchange of those we say in English we call them, I forgot the name. In English we say them HISA. The crash of this stock market exchange led to the people to get to withdraw their money, and they left the bank without money, and that way people failed to secure a loan from the banks. People failed to be paid their salaries. People failed to open new projects. This crash or downtown of the world economy. And the last one, it is the capitalist economy. The capitalist economy. Some economists, they believe that it was necessary for the Great Economic Depression to happen because it is in the phase of capitalist system. As we discussed there, the stages of Great Economic Depression, it started with boom, crisis, depression, and then recovery. So it was necessary for the world to pass in that situation due to the nature of capitalist economy. These were the causes of Great Economic Depression. And lastly, it is effects of Great Economic Depression on Africa. How Africa affected with this Great Economic Depression happened in Europe. Number one, intensification of exploitation. This is constant. If the boss is scrutinized, even the subordinate, they are going to be scrutinized. So our boss, who were those colonial masters, they were in high, very, very poor situation. How do you expect us to relax while our boss were empty pockets? So they increased the exploitation in order to compensate the gap of the Great Economic Depression that it occurred. Introduction of agricultural schemes. As I said earlier there, the effect of WW1 is also here in Great Economic Depression. In order to revamp the situation or to secure the situation, they established different agricultural schemes in their colonies. These schemes were establishing the process where before there were no agricultural activities because of the nature of environment, and later on they expanded the agricultural activities by providing some of accessories like irrigation system in order to run agricultural activities. Unemployment, this is constant. Whenever the economy is not good, how do you expect people to get jobs? Who will pay them? How are they going to be paid? So unemployment increased. Fall of workers' wages, the same was to compensate the gap. We're supposed to deduct the amount of money we are paying workers. Otherwise, we're supposed to cut number of workers, get out of the system. That is unemployment again. Fall of the price of raw materials from Africa. Decline in provision of social services. That the same like cut down of government expenditure. When the government expenditure went down, the number of social services were not provided in fully. Establishment of processing industries, at least to start processing things in Africa to reduce the cost of importing goods from outside. So smaller processing industry were established in Africa, especially those domestic products. Those were the effects of Great Economic Depression in Africa. And the last part of this economic depression, as depression was a problem, so we should understand it, or we should check what were the mechanism applied to handle this problem, the steps taken by colonial government to handle impact of Great Economic Depression. They took different variety steps to make sure at least they are going to settle down the effects of Great Economic Depression. Number one, introduction of peasant cooperative societies. They formed cooperative societies. This cooperative society joined power and energy, and they collected the harvest together, so they increased the number of production. That was the role of cooperative societies, to collect the production from different farmers, either small farmer or those large scale farmers, into one place, and this government, the colonial government, they can come and buy from one place. Establishing more plantations. We discussed in Form 3 the plantations in colonial economy. So more plantation established in order to increase number of raw material. Production of prohibited crops by peasants. Previously, peasants were allowed to produce mostly food crops as a supply of food, and they were prohibited to produce cash crops, mostly in different places. In very few areas, peasants they done those mixing farming like cash crops, intercropping cash crops and food crops. But after Great Economic Depression, peasants were allowed officially and them to produce cash crops. Example, in Kilimanjaro, you may find some of peasants they are producing food crops, and at the same time they are producing cash crops. Changes of education curriculum and syllabus. These changes meant to reach the target of producing more vocational people or trained people in production. At least they can depend on themselves, not waiting to be hired by colonial government. At least they can be productive without being employed by the colonial government. So they change curriculum and syllabus to meet the demand and to relate with the environment where they're coming from. So those people who were coming from nearby the ocean, they learned about fishing. Those who came from the forest, they learned about forest production. The same those who were coming in the agricultural area, they learned about agriculture. The vocational training like carpentry, masons were introduced at least to bridge the gap of these unemployed people. Provision of agricultural subsidies. These were the assistance produced or provided by the colonial government to the farmers. And the last one, intensification of labor recruitment agents. They established different recruitment agents like SLAB. These were the agents responsible for the CISO workers. Then intensification means that they were given more efforts, more power to make sure they increase the recruitment of agents, recruitment of laborers for the production in colony. Dear students, that is brief and short about Great Economic Depression. Area to remember, it is causes of Great Economic Depression. Make sure you're able to explain how stock market exchange collapse or fall down lead to the Great Economic Depression. Stages of economic depression, and sometimes those are the stages of capitalism production system. And also we should understand the effects on how Great Economic Depression affected the Africans. Those are the explanations about the two crises, that is WW1 and the second crisis, that is the Great Economic Depression. Later on we are going to check the Second World War. For today, let's conclude here. Thank you for listening.